Good afternoon, Tampa Bay. It's that time again. Porch Talk Radio. I know you guys missed us last week. I got a bunch of phone calls. Folks was worried, and I told them I was not available. You know what I mean? You know when people say I'm not available. Well, actually I wasn't. I was in New Orleans, Louisiana, to the Essence Festival, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Kind of give you guys, synopsis of what it was like being around 500,000 black females. That's the estimate that they gave as to how many people. And that was from the governor of the state of Louisiana. He put those numbers together and said, that's how many folks was there. So, and I give you 10% for black males like me, having 3 females or 4 females with you, being the chauffeur, the driver, that kind of stuff. But it's really an event for black females, and I think my 3 black females had an excellent time. At least that's what it appeared to me. So let me go ahead and thank our sponsors. Give you the call-in number, just do some of that kind of stuff. As Elliot races to get his phone, cut it off. All right, our sponsors, people who help bring you this show every week, except for last week. Todd Jones, property appraiser, Hillsborough County Republican Executive Committee. Print Fast, John Desbrow meets all your printing needs. 813-621-9444. Tell John Eddie sent you. He'll help you out. He'll give you a break or discount or something like that. He's a good friend of the show. Allows us to do what we do. Thank you so very much, John. Now, I was at the NAACP elections. For those who don't know, I think they've done the elections twice over the last year, of some version thereof, and there were some difficulties with them. So they have I guess they got some national NAACP folks, and they got some state. Matter of fact, the state chair is here, and so I guess they say we're gonna make sure we get it right this time, because they're down at the Sanders Library. They're off Nebraska and Scott Street, and they're doing the election now as we speak. While I was there, they had some candidates speaking, talking about how great they were going to be if they get elected. You know how that stuff sounds. I'm just saying, and what they were going to do and how they would make the world better and all that kind of stuff. But I was hoping to be able to drop by, because they said 11:30. So the elections are from 11:30 till 1. Since I'm here with you from noon to 1, I figured. Now, let me say something right now. They didn't start at 11:30, because I was there at 11:30. So hopefully they won't end at 1. Because if they end at 1, I won't be able to vote, because I'll still be with you. But if not, I'm still going to ride by there after I leave the show and see if I can cast my vote for my favorite NAACP candidates. So, as a community, I've had people say, well, they don't do anything and this and that. And you know what I say? You join. You change it. You know what I'm saying? Because if you complain about somebody not doing anything, which I hear all the time, then you join and you make a difference. See, that's the solution to the problem. You are the solution to most of the problems that you have. So that's not some great philosophical thought. That's just me saying that's why I'm in so many groups and so many organizations, and that's why when the time came for me, I thought I could do a better job, I ran for political office. So just so you know. So that's kind of. So I'm not just a person that talk and say, oh, well, they ain't doing nothing, and they're horrible and they're terrible. If I think that's the case, then I throw my hat in. and I help make the situation better. See how simple that is? And if we had a lot of folks to do that, we would change the world overnight. Mr. Willie.
You make a tremendous point about participating in all these systems. Most of the time, what's usually missing is your viewpoint.
Yeah.
If you think that an organization is not going the right way, they're probably not hearing what you're thinking. So the only way for them to hear what you're thinking is not to throw rocks at the TV, is not to throw the newspaper in the trash can and scream and yell in the kitchen and scare the dog and the kids. Is to put yourself out a little bit and maybe go to that meeting on a Tuesday night, go to that meeting on a Friday afternoon if you can, and get what you are thinking said, because you may be the key that unlocks where this organization may actually be stuck. And I know that sounds like you think that, and I think that I'm more important than anybody else, but sometimes that one idea that you bring may be actually the key that unlocks and unsticks the door for this organization or group to move forward in a way that they've been waiting for.
Yeah.
The idea is that sometimes we are the people that we've been waiting for. Instead of sitting around waiting for somebody else. We are the ones that we have been waiting for. You may be the person that you're waiting for. It may not be a president, it may not be a city councilman or a mayor or a community leader. It may actually, and I know it's hard to believe, it may actually be you. And I know as you're driving around in your car, you're eye rolling me, but you know what? I know I'm telling the truth because I'm blessed enough to deal with a lot of people who are just on every other scale normal folks.
Well, think about this: the greatest black leader, and that's opinionated. They say stuff like the greatest, or the this, or the that. But Martin Luther King was a reluctant leader. He didn't want to be the leader, the national symbol of a whole race of people, a whole generation, and part of what become known as the civil rights movement. Again, had a lot of elements to it, but until he became a part of it, as reluctant as he was, he changed it. And again, you don't know how great you can be until you exert yourself. Because history writes about folks all the time who were normal people, but they became more.
Tomorrow you'll go to church and you hear Bible stories about people in the Bible. What you have to understand is, and we don't understand sometimes, is that almost everybody was just an average person. Just an average person. Just a dude walking the streets. Just a guy, herding goats. Everybody was just a normal person that got to do extraordinary things because they took the opportunity to. And everybody could have said no. Everybody could have said no, but the people who didn't say no went off to do extraordinary things. So that's us too. That's you driving in your car right now. That's you. You could be the person that makes sure that a kid eats tonight, that a young man stays out of jail, that somebody lives and doesn't die because they talk to you first. They don't take their own life because they talk to you first. You could be the missing link, and most of us are the missing link in somebody's life anyway. A lot of us just go about our lives doing what we do, but we don't think about it like that. But most of us are the missing link in somebody else's life. We're their encouragement that they need, the smile at the grocery store. Sometimes you just reach over and grab their hand and look in their face and tell them that it's going to be okay. That may be it. You may not be mayor, so you may not be governor, so you may not be president, but it doesn't mean that you're not important. And what you'll find is what I have found, and this is what I found, that the people who are closest to other folks are the people who are the most important.
Yeah, and see, think about this. I got this story of this kid who was a shepherd tending sheep. And he learned how to use a sling, because he would take these rocks and he would throw them at wolves who was messing with his sheep. Little did he know he was practicing for one of the greatest battles in the history of the planet. I know you guys may not remember the story of David and Goliath, shepherd boy who defeated a 10-foot tall giant to save his people. I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, you know, that's a great story because it seemed like David was the last. He was a teenager at the time. He was the last dude that would take on the giant. He was the last one. But you know what? He said, I can do this.
I got this.
Well, and you know why? Because apparently the king's daughter was hot, and he wasn't going to have to pay taxes ever again, which I'm down with personally. That's my political philosophy. No taxes? Bring it on. Give me the rock. Give me the rock and the sling. Big boy goes down today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Folks, just think of who we follow today. T.D. Jakes, thousands and thousands around the planet. He's helped starting churches all over the world. There's Creflo Dollars out there. There's several great leaders. They were just regular people at one time.
And God sent him a jet.
Well, that's a side story. Be careful. I'll leave it alone with the grills. Anyway, but back to somebody talked with these people originally. Somebody prayed with these people originally. And it was somebody like you. And you were the one that God used at that moment, at that time, to launch.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody prayed with Billy Graham at one time.
Right there in Temple Terrace.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty amazing. And it was just a regular person like you and me that just stepped out and said, you know what? I'm tired of these people not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They say one thing, they do something else, they get up there to get the power, where they got a D or an R behind their name. I am their employer. And if they ain't listening to what I want done, then I got to fire them. And when it comes time to election, it takes enough people like you and me just step out, say, you know what, my vote does count. But again, these meetings are going on throughout the year, every month, every week pretty much. There's meetings going on in Temple Terrace and Tampa, all over the place that you should be a part of and go check out. What do you have a passion for? There's a lot of great things, and it just needs regular people like you and me stepping it up, saying, I can make that meeting. You get to that meeting, you find out, well, this is all foolishness. This ain't going to be right. Then you begin to speak out. People begin to listen, and things begin to change because somebody like you just stepped out and got off the couch.
Well, I'm going to say something, and I'm going to change the topic a little bit. When I say Morgan and Morgan, 90% of the people think about weed or marijuana or something.
I'll smoke to that.
Similar to that. But the more I hear the name spoken by black folks, I'm gonna just throw this out there. I'm not gonna beat it to death. I'm not gonna tell you how to think about it. But I'm gonna tell you something about common sense. Morgan and Morgan has a firm that has over 700 lawyers.
Wow.
Morgan and Morgan, John Morgan himself has been disbarred. So let me tell you how to, tell you the whole thought process. He got 700 lawyers, but he could not find one good enough to keep him from being disbarred. As a thought, I'm just saying, sometimes common sense ain't common. So either he did something atrocious, something that was really out there that couldn't be defended, to where he got disbarred by the state of Florida. He couldn't find a lawyer in his firm, outside his firm, good enough to defend him. And then I'm going to move on to something else.
Look out.
St. Petersburg. I don't know if you guys know it, but they got an election coming up. A municipal election. And they're going to be hiring, a new mayor. And also a whole bunch of council members. 4 seats up. Now, the reason I bring up St. Pete is I worked in St. Petersburg for 10 years, Pinellas County, for 10 years. And I know that over in St. Pete, and I hate to say it, but I'm gonna say it. Black folks over there are different. You know what I mean? No, you don't. Okay, let me tell you why they're different. Because every time they have an election in Pinellas County, St. Petersburg, they have black folks on the ballot running from everything. I mean, running for, and if they had elections for dog catcher over in Pinellas, they got black folks running for it. They got black folks running for mayor, black folks running for city council, black folks running for the school board. You know, not in the black seat either. You know, they got the same, thing we got over here, single districts and all that kind of stuff. But they got black folks over there that just run for stuff because their city fathers or their city leaderships tell their citizens, guys, we got to have folks on in all these battles. We got to have folks running for everything. It ain't about winning. It's about making sure you get represented and you keep them honest. See, and I think that's important because over here, I remember in 2008 on the Hillsborough County ballot, you had 2 black folks. You know who they were? Barack Obama and Eddie Adams Jr. And that ain't that long ago. I mean, we have a lot of elections where the single member district didn't come up. That means the black district, and nobody ran for anything else. So I'm gonna give a kudos, thumbs up to Pinellas County, to St. Pete, and I'm gonna tell you something else about St. Petersburg. I actually pulled the demographics for St. Petersburg. Now, St. Petersburg has 69% of the population is white. 23.8% of the population is black. That don't leave a whole lot of the rest of your population. And the good thing, and I'm telling you, good thing, and I'm saying it out loud, is all them black folks in St. Petersburg ain't Democrats. Because watch this election. You got a Democrat that's going to be running for mayor, who's the existing mayor, Rick Kreisman. And you got an old ex-mayor running, and that's Rick Baker. Rick Baker is a Republican. Rick Kreisman is a Democrat. And they both got a whole bunch of black folks involved in their campaign. And what happened if the monolithic 23% black folks don't all vote for Rick Kreisman? Matter of fact, it's an awful, that's why I told you, I worked over there in Pinellas for 10 years, in downtown St. Pete for 10 years. And the fact that it took a little while, and I don't know if this is progressive or not, based upon how you look at it, but the black folks in St. Pete actually voting on some issues that involve their community and how these mayoral candidate has done. They've seen both of them in action. How they responded to the community, and that's why you're going to have a split vote. You won't have a big block, 23% of the black population voting for Rick Kreisman. Watch. In the election, they got a primary in August 29th, they're having a primary, and then the final election will be in November. But watch how the votes turn out over there, and compare it to the votes over here in Hillsborough. Because I'm going to tell you something about Pinellas. They've always had, because the community demands it, a black vice mayor or assistant mayor, someone that's in the administration that represents us and don't have to go through 3 layers of white folks to get to the person that's making a decision. We've always, and again, like I said, I worked over there for a while. So I got to know the folks, I got to know the leadership, I got to understand the system over there, and I drove over there, but I always return here. So I'm just saying to you, this is an opportunity to watch the process without being offended, not having to take sides, You know, and I'm not gonna say who's gonna win, but I know who I hope win. You know, I hope Rick Baker win, because Rick Baker was primarily responsible for the building of Midtown. You know, making that investment in the community. So we'll see what happens, and I'm just gonna throw it out there and watch it. It's an experiment before your eyes in the democratic process. Willie.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned Midtown, and what I saw Rick Baker do from over here was that he did something that we talk about all the time. He actually engaged people. He actually engaged that community, and a lot of people, especially Republicans, said they told him there's no benefit to that, and he didn't care. He knew that there was going to be a benefit to that, not just politically, but just for his city. There was a benefit in engaging all of the community. Now, I don't really know, but I get the sense that Kreisman has not done the same.
And he's the Democrat.
He you know what? And maybe it's because what a lot of us say all the time. And again, here come more eye rolls. Is that maybe Democrats take a lot of the black vote for granted. Now, having said that, you can stop eye rolling now and make sure that you drive and be careful where you're going. Is that I am also willing to admit openly that Democrats take black folks for granted and Republicans ignore them completely.
Yes.
And I think that's the dynamic that we're probably going to see play out in Rick Baker coming back and challenging Kreisman for that seat. Now, of course, Kreisman is going to do exactly what politicians do. He's going to try to make up for 3 years of ignoring it all today. He's going to be walking around Midtown all day today, knocking on doors, kissing babies, grabbing babies on people's arms. I love that folks. I love that folks. Talk about how much he loved Good Times.
Yeah.
The Good Times was his favorite show.
You got a black cousin.
I got a black cousin, exactly. So there'll be a lot of that, but fortunately, I know most people can see through that kind of nonsense. But it's going to be an interesting experiment to see that Baker's actually his accomplishments, especially with a lot of the black leadership there, is evident. And that made the difference. And that's what we say all the time. As long as we get really engaged in a way that isn't just political, that's for real, we'll be, Republicans or anybody will be accepted and pulled in, because it's about improving the conditions that we live in. It's bigger than the R, it's bigger than the D, it's bigger than the L for Libertarian, it's bigger than the G for Green Party. It's really bigger than all of that. Most folks just want a safe place to live, where there are jobs, where the schools don't suck. That's what most people want. People. Somebody asked me yesterday, so what are the biggest needs in the black community? Mm-hmm. And I said, what's the biggest needs in Fishhawk? Them. I said, whatever the biggest needs in Fishhawk are, them. It's the same friggin' list. It's the same list. They want great schools. They want safe streets. They want to be able to work close to where they live. And it's the same set of things that they want. So, and as long as we have politicians on at the municipal level, whose my thought is that's their responsibility, much more so than the federal government, to make sure these things happen in these communities. And people like Rick Baker, and I've had pleasure to sit down with former Mayor Baker, and found that he was really open to a lot of things. I like the guy now. I'm sorry I have not had the same pleasure with Mr. Kreisman, just because of situations. But the conversation that I had with Rick Baker, I really enjoyed the things he had to say, and I wish him luck on his campaign. And thanks for coming back, because your community needs you.
It does, and that's the difference. And this is something I want my people to understand. I don't care how much you hate Donald Trump. You could not touch Donald Trump if you tried. Your mayor, your city council people, your school board members, hell, they right here with you. All you got to do is show up at a meeting where you know they're going to be. Mm-hmm. Their schedules is posted. if you got something to say to them and you want to say it to their face, you don't want to call, you don't want to email, you don't want to communicate with them by smoke, to do smoke signals. You can touch them. You can actually make it your business to come in contact and go somewhere where they at. Donald Trump, he's in Poland somewhere. He's all over the place. Even if he was going to be here in Tampa, you couldn't get close enough to him to have a conversation with him. I'm just saying. You see what I'm saying? But you're all mad and bent out of shape about that guy, as opposed to taking more of an effort and making sure that somebody who you can touch on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, you make sure that guy is right guy. Because that guy's the one taking the money out your pocket. You see what I'm saying? That's the one who you can replace. That's the one who you and whatever efforts you make locally can make a difference. Go ahead, Gabriel.
Eddie, what's your favorite phrase? Politics is not always national, it's local.
Politics is always local.
Meaning?
That it's always local.
There's a hidden meaning in that.
What it means is that no matter if you're running for president, no matter if you're running for senator, no matter if you're running for emperor of the world, it starts with a local campaign. It starts with local people voting.
And local people is you. Local people is me. That's us. Going out there, getting involved, and making something happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter your color, your skin, your car broke. You just broke in general. If you don't change what you've been doing, you're going to stay that way. And the problem is it becomes a lifestyle, and it becomes a way of life. And then you begin to think no more than what you don't know. And the end result is you stay where you've been. And then so do the kids coming there with you, staying in the same place. And that is sad. You have an opportunity to make a change. And it starts with you saying, you know what? I have to do something different today than yesterday. And go get involved.
And again, simple thing. The NAACP elections being held today. You know how many times I have heard people talk about local folks and who's going to do this and who's going to do that. The NAACP is a historical organization. And I'm going to tell you something. That in itself make it important for your community. Your community may not have the biggest, the baddest, the best end of the NAACP, but it is yours and it represents you. Now, let me tell you about last week. Went to the Essence Festival. Did a road trip. You want to find out whether or not you're in love and you can get along with some people? Lock them up in the car
for hours.
for hours at a time, and just watch. I mean, either you can have a marvelous time or you're gonna have a I can't say what I want to say.
Miserable.
Absolutely miserable time. But again, we had a great time. So Essence is for black women. That's what the festival is called. Literally Black Women's Festival. Essence Festival. They had 500,000 people there that came to New Orleans, Louisiana for the Essence Festival. That's what the mayor said. That's what the governor said. And I'm figuring since they've done it for 28 years, they've kind of figured out how to count the numbers or get a good estimate, and that's what they said. Now I can tell you, my biggest impression. And this is the first thing that comes to my mind every time I think about the week that we spent in New Orleans, was basically round. I mean, round like circle round. But so many shapes, forms, fashions of round. And again, I don't mean that badly. I'm just saying I just saw so many round figures at the Essence Festival. I mean,
what are you talking about?
I mean round. I mean good rounds. I mean bad rounds. I mean good, fabulous round bodies. Some really, really, really big bad round bodies. But that was it. I mean, because when you look at that many women, you get an image, and they got every imaginable black hairdo that they can come up with. So between the hairdos and the nice bodies and the bad bodies, but these are all.
I'm going to help you.
Please.
I'm going to help you, and I'm going to try not to throw some dirt on the hole you're digging.
Yeah.
The only
Stop digging.
the only nice body there in those 500,000 women belong to your wife.
Oh.
Well,
In your brain, the only nice figure, the only beautiful woman of all the other 500,000. Sylvia, I got your back, honey. I got your back. The only beautiful woman of the 500,000 that were there was Sylvia Adams. She was the only one. So I don't know what you're talking about. Now, you bumped your head when you came in the studio, apparently, and you are talking crazy at Adams. I don't have any idea what you're talking about.
Well,
Sylvia, I'm really sorry.
I guess
we're going to get him to the hospital after the show because obviously he has lost his mind.
Well. Again, I'm just saying and if you've never been, you need to go because it is an experience. And if you're a single male, not being a Muslim, because they get their 72 virgins when they go to heaven, wherever they go, but that's the place to go. Because not only are many of them excellently beautiful, they got jobs. I mean, because that's what Essence is all about, empowerment. They got jobs, they got careers. I guess, for the most part, they got conversations. And whatever else you're looking for in a beautiful black woman. So, again, if you've never been, go. Just hang around for a couple of days. You don't have to stay for the whole time. Go like Friday and Saturday, or Saturday and Sunday, because they got stuff all weekend, and they do it every year, 4th of July weekend. So I guess if Essence want to send me a couple of dollars,
they won't
for the promotion,
a bill,
then we good with that also. All right, and my good friend and my cohort during the middle of the week, Mr. Howard Word walked in, and I told him this Friday when I came in. So we had this same conversation. Because again, it was just impressive to me, and again, I'm left with that round thing. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on.
Stop. Back away.
All right, let's do on this day in history.
Come on.
On July 8th, in history, for the first time, the Liberty Bell tolls the announcement of the Declaration of Independence, summoning citizens to the first public reading of the Declaration of Independence. Everybody know we got freed on July the 4th, but they didn't do the official reading to the public until July 8th. And this was in 1776.
It was the original Brexit.
Yes. Public square.
Basically.
That's what the Liberty Bell did. It tolled for the public reading in Philadelphia in the town square, which is what they used to call it back in those days. Also, on this date, the first New Mexico newspaper, the Roswell Daily, recorded and reported on this day the crash landing, what everybody's been talking about, of the flying saucer that crashed at a nearby ranch. So that's the big thing, Roswell Army Airfield. Also, on this date, 1969, U.S. troops began their withdrawal from Vietnam. So, that's, and I know sometimes people ask why we do that, and sometimes some people think it's silly, but we used to do something, we've been around for about 7 years. We used to do something called Word of the Day.
Oh, yeah.
See, we did that for a long time, because we just want to make sure at some point in the time, for those folks who just listening.
Need some more education.
There's an educational point to the show.
Yeah.
Come on, Willie.
All right, maybe it's an additional point.
Please.
Sometimes there's no point at all.
Willie,
Yeah, basically. Come on, Willie.
Willie, you used to do the Word of the Day.
I used to do the Word of the Day.
Remember?
Well, and we used to do it before. Let me pull the curtain back. We used to do it before because sometimes Mr. Adams would pronounce words in ways that were quizzical to everyone.
Ebonics.
We were like, I'm not quite sure what the hell he's talking about. I've never heard that word. I'm looking at it on the paper here, but that's not what that is. And that's, and that's part of, let me pull the curtain back, that's part of where the word of the day came from. But I do like the historical hits because what it does is gives perspective. And a lot of times, we go through life and these things happen and we're not sure why or how, and we don't have conversations about them, but it's nice to bring up things like that, like the tolling of the Liberty Bell and the reading of the Declaration of Independence. A lot of people don't really know what that is. They hear about it. Some people think it's part of the law. It isn't the law. It was the big middle finger that the colonists were given to
the English.
To George at the time, and because of their mistreatment. And it wasn't over tea. It wasn't over the price of tea. There were a lot more grievances than the taxes are too damn high. That was part of it, but that wasn't all of it. So I would hope that some of these things would encourage people when they hear about it to go investigate them farther on their own. It wasn't just about that. There were a whole list of grievances. And if you can't get to that, and this is where it's fun being old. There's a group called the Fifth Dimension that were really popular in the 60s and the 70s, who actually recorded a part of the Declaration of Independence as a song. And that's how I learned it. It's crazy. That's how I learned it. And it was on one of their regular albums. It wasn't, it wasn't on like a educational thing. So you can look that up on YouTube because it's out there. But that's the important thing, like the whole Roswell is Area 51 now.
It's famous.
Yeah, you can look it up, and it was great because now they make a whole bunch of money for people coming in looking for nothing.
Right.
And buying nothing. Looking for absolutely nothing because nothing ever happened there, but it doesn't matter. And they're going to find the Loch Ness Monster there too.
Independence Day.
Because the Loch Ness Monster was obviously in the spacecraft. So
right.
I thought it was Bigfoot.
No, Bigfoot. No, I saw Bigfoot this morning. Bigfoot's on 40th and MLK. I saw Bigfoot this morning. I think he was going down to get some breakfast.
Open cafe.
I was there this morning myself. I think I saw Bigfoot walking by.
Chicken and waffles.
Yeah.
Oh,
Chicken and waffles.
Bigfoot, all about the chicken and waffles. You're right. So none of that stuff really exists, but it's fun to talk about. And I think it's interesting that in '69. And it doesn't seem like a long time ago for some of us because we're a little more seasoned.
Right.
As especially Elliot, he's a little more seasoned. But how long ago that actually was? 1969. It didn't seem like a long time for us, but it was a long time ago.
No, Vietnam War is part of my youth. It's part of my youth.
Oh yeah, so
a lot of friends went and didn't come back. So.
And I was only 9 years old because I'm such a youngster. So most of that happened when I was really small. I was a really small kid. So it's interesting to mention this stuff so we can go back and look at it. And if people want to go back and look at what happened during that time, my suggestion is please go do so. So we'll continue to do the history lesson every week. I think that'll be a really good thing to do.
Well, thank you. Now let's talk about some local stuff.
Uh-oh.
And this is something I've been talking about for a couple of weeks. So this is what I want to do. I went down to the NAACP thing, as I mentioned several times already. What this community and I am going to try to spark. See if we can get 100 black folks to show up at a county commission meeting and request of them that they do the right thing. And I'm going to tell you, we don't have to, we're going to plan it, so we're going to pick a date for one of the county commission meetings. They meet on the first and third Wednesdays at 9:30 down at the county commissioner's office. So what I want to do is see if I can get some of our elected officials, see if I can get some of our regular folks like you, see if we can maybe have a meeting and see if we can get several different groups with 25, 30 members to get your folks to get out of bed when they get off from work. I know they're tired, and before they go to sleep, because if they go to sleep, they're not going to come. They come down to one of those county commission meetings and just tell those county commissioners, and this is what I'm going to tell. I'm just going to tell you what we're going to tell them. You better wake up, because you got a couple of billion dollars worth of activities coming to the Tampa Bay area in the next 4 or 5 years. You're talking about a Super Bowl. You're talking about national championships. You're talking about conventions. You're talking about all kind of stuff that bring national people and national dollars to Hillsborough County.
National dollars.
And I don't know if you guys remember, but there was another organization that's been around for 100 years. And black folks decided that it was time to shine some national light on what has been going on here in Tampa for hundreds of years. And that was the Gasparilla, Ye Mr. Crew. And the NFL came, and they listened to the plea of this community. And they said, we hear you. And I guess that got the attention of probably one of the most prestigious and most economically powerful organization in this whole region of the state. Because Ye Mr. Crew, you just think they're just a little bunch of pirates. But those are the fathers of this community. Those are the builders. Those are the families that made Tampa Bay and Hillsborough County and this area what it was. They just took a day to celebrate and just wanted to be good old boys. Well, again, that didn't set well. And I'm just saying, rather than hurt everybody, because when $1 billion walk out your community, it affects everybody. It's like the rising tide thing. You know, that's $1 billion that'll be spent, you know, with mothers and fathers and restaurants and hotels and Uber drivers and taxi drivers and that whole thing. That money goes around.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you, if we show up, and I think that's a nice shot across the bow. Because again, if you get 100 black folks show up for anything, you're gonna get some attention.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna notice you. And you can change the agenda, because I went down there with a couple hundred white folks. We wasn't on the agenda. But when you walk in with that many folks, you can change the agenda of any public meeting. So I'm just throwing it out there. Mm-hmm. So I want the folks who have the talks after the show, to talk about the possibility of having your group, your organization. This is not about politics. This is not about Democrat, Republican. This is about making the folks who making decisions down at the county commission's office to take notice of this community. Because if they don't, then we got other better ways to get their attention. Mm-hmm. Caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio. This is Eddie Adams, your host. What say you?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Just caught the tail end of what you were saying, and I agree full and wholeheartedly with what you have to say. As far as, I think, were you talking about the upcoming meeting that's on the 19th? Is that what you're referencing?
No, I'm talking about that they may be a meeting on the 19th, but I'm talking about organizing with a laser focused purpose to make one thing happen, and then we'll kind of see where it goes from there. But this meeting is not planned, not yet. But what I want to do is sit down with the leaders of this community and with all these different groups and organizations and make sure, because I've had a lot of people say that they were going to show up, but guarantee that they're going to show up with at least 100 people. Because when I did it with the white folks, they had the buses from the village behind the retirement home behind the University Square Mall, and them folks had 3 buses, and they showed up with all 3 of them full, plus the other folks that came on their own.
So what is your end game as far as you're hoping to get accomplished?
Well, what my end game is we gave them the opportunity a couple of weeks ago to have a vote and decide to give it back to the Daughters of the Confederacy, the flag, the monuments that's sitting in front of the courthouse downtown. And they decided not to. They decided to ignore the feelings of the minorities within this community, who was definitely there trying to ask them to do the right thing. But see, there's asking, and then there's telling. Because if you get national folks to not bring millions of dollars or billions of dollars to this community, more than them will be affected. But sometimes you got to take the hard road. So we're trying to, again, do a shot across the bow and let them know that you got a community that's not going to sit back and take it anymore. We're going to do something, and I have a voice, and then I'm going to try to organize other folks, and we're going to make this thing happen, because they could do it the easy way, or they could do what Ye Mr. Crew had to go through when the NFL came in and said, no, we're not going to do a Super Bowl here because you're still in the backwoods.
Well, I think that after I read that the Tampa Bay Rays have made it, and they put out a statement, I think that is carrying a lot more weight, and that is more of an urgency to change everything now. And it's unfortunate that people can look at their collective more conscious and say, hey, maybe we should change this, or maybe we should take this monument and put it in a museum where it belongs. But because the Tampa Bay Rays, and I commented about this a couple weeks ago, that when it started affecting the Tampa Bay community from an economic standpoint, then you know what, people's convictions will change. I think that is what will happen.
Well, see, another part about it is it was a 4-3 vote. We ain't got to change all 7 of them. Some of them are Confederate soldier. You know, they got the histories and their grandfather, their grandmom. I can understand that. But all of us aren't Confederates. And that being it, you're an elected official. You're supposed to represent all the people. And if there's something that I have to walk past before I go get justice, and it represents the time of slavery and rape and pillage and plunder and all that kind of stuff, I'm just thinking that they will have enough foresight. And if they don't, then there's ways to economically affect them. And then that affects them, you know, a lot differently. Plus, they got an election coming up, too. So
Exactly. And I'm definitely, you know, I agree with you. And that's something that, you know, even though I'm an independent, that I can agree with you on and support you with. And we need to keep and hold those people who voted against the removal, we need to hold them accountable.
Oh, yeah. And again, I'm a person who don't mind talking in front of folks because I'm a Toastmaster, so that's probably they teach me how to actually do that. Mm-hmm. But they get rid of your fear of doing that. And I will, if I go there and there's 100 black folks behind me, because the last time I went down to the county commission chambers, you know, they had a whole bunch of Confederates with their Confederate flags, you know, and with some cards holding up every time somebody spoke, you know, and that stuff. I said, okay, well, you want to do a show? Hell, we know how to do shows too. We show up with 100 people, you know, 100 black folks show up down there, and we can have some cards, and we can have some markers, and we could we'll give you a show, and we'll give you a statement, and then it's up to you to act or react. And we don't need all 7 of them, we just need 4. That's the magic number in local politics.
When is the meeting supposed to be? Because I looked in the paper and it said the 19th is when they were going to have another vote. Are you referencing another time of you want people to get together and voice their support as far as removal of the monument?
Yes, I tell you what, let's do this. I'm going to give you my cell phone number on there.
Okay, hold on. You write it down. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. 813-230-3312. That's my personal cell phone number. Write it down. Give me a call later today or later in the week whenever you got some time. And what we'll do is a lot of folks will also call me and we'll organize a meeting based upon the results of what's happening on the 19th. Next time we walk in there, we're going to be organized. That we'll be a force to reckon with. So we got the 19th. Go to the meeting on the 19th. Let's see what happens. And if they won't listen, then we'll give them something to listen for. Thank you.
All right. Gotcha.
All right. So that's kind of how it works, folks. And that's what I hope to get. I hope to get our elected officials on board, because again, if you can't show up because of the time of the county commission meetings, whenever we plan this, it will be a regular scheduled county commission meeting. If you can't show up, give us a letter. If you're an elected official and you can't show up because you commit to something else, then give us a letter. We'll take your letter and make sure that they understand that the folks in this community are not going to accept this anymore.
And to the rest of everybody else, understand every time you go buy something, there's a good chance you're paying a tax. If you're working somewhere, there's a good chance you're paying a tax. These elected officials are your employees. You are the employer. And if they're not doing the job, you must fire them. You do that by electing somebody else and get the job done. And if that's the case, you get a few of your friends, show up with Eddie, and say, we got something to talk about. And if they don't want to listen, it's all right. They don't have to stay there. When it's their election time, bye-bye. You have that power.
And this is the other thing, too. When I was last seen at the county commission chambers for the issue about the monument, it was as many white folks there with us. I'm going to tell you a funny sight.
Right.
A whole half a row of white young females holding up the Black Power sign. I'm just saying. You know, anybody that was there, you saw that. Them girls was holding up the Black Power sign like the Black Lives Matter female was. You know, they was there in protest. They understood why they was there, and they had no power holding up the Black Power sign. So if you're there for the same cause, we're there, we're together. And that's what we need. We need this community to act as one. Caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio. This is your host, Eddie Adams. What say you?
Eddie.
Yes, sir.
This is Pete Edison. Let's talk about it. Let me tell you something. It's fake. The efforts by the Tampa Bay Rays stepping in on this issue is nothing but publicity seeking. Is fake. How are you going to have an organization that does not even spend money in black media promoting the Rays or trying to get black people to go to the Rays game? Is fake, and that's what this whole thing is turning out to be. So I urge our black listeners, don't fall for the hype by the Tampa Bay Rays. They don't spend money with black media, and outside of the superficial stuff that they do for the two Little League programs in St. Pete and Tampa, they don't do nothing with the black community. It's like the Tampa Museum, History Museum, funded by governmental funds, taxpayers' funds, and they don't advertise with black media, and then the little space that they have in the museum for black history is nothing. That's why the Bob Sanders Library is more than them. But don't get fooled by Tampa Bay Rays. It's fake.
Well,
all right, I'm out.
Thank you, Pete. And that's why we're gonna wait till the meeting on the 19th. Let's see what happens. That's an opportunity for them to do the right thing. That's a couple opportunities for them to do the right thing. The country is changing. There's some sensitivities. And this is not about Democrat, Republican. This is about a community that needs to make sure that they know what's sensitive to us. And if they don't respond, again, we're not trying to say destroy the monument. Give it back to the sons and daughters of the Confederacy. Give it to whoever gave it to you. But right now, it sits on county property. I personally pay taxes for that. And I know the white folks and the Confederates pay taxes for that. But this government is supposed to be of the people, all the people, not just some. So give it to them, honor it, do by it as best you can. But you need to move it from where it's at. And so again, if they don't do that, we're going to organize. And with your help, because I know some people out there who can pull together 20, 30 folks. It ain't going to take 100 people to organize 100 people. It only takes 5 or 10 people to say, okay, I can give you 10 people. We do the old-fashioned phone tree. You call and get commitments from 5 people. You call and get commitments from 10 or 20. Or bring your club, bring your organization, bring your frat. Bring your group of ladies who read books on Sundays. Whatever your group is, and if they believe in this cause, we're going to get a commitment out of them to show up at the county commission chambers and make a statement. And again, I'm gonna tell you something. I guarantee you they'll listen. If they don't, then that statement goes out, because hell, I take pictures myself. I bring a camera. I got a nice, decent Nikon camera. I bring my camera, take some pictures, and we'll post it. See, we learned how to do Facebook, and we learned how to do, chat. I don't know all this stuff, but they got a bunch of stuff right there. That's why they got young folks. So we got a couple of young folks that do all that technical, that info stuff, and they're good at it. So again, thank you for listening to the show. This was a very special show for us. Hopefully, one for you. So until next week, same bad time, same bad station. Love you. See you then. Bye-bye.
God bless. Thank you, really trying to pull him out of the essence thing. It went deeper and deeper, and I was like, holy shit. And you were like, I don't know. Yeah, bring him around.